Hi, my name is Joe Kotze with Eventide, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the Blackhole pedal. As an Eventide algorithm, Blackhole made its debut in our previous flagship studio processor, the DSP-4000 Ultra Harmonizer. It's a reverb larger than typical hall and room verbs, capable of cathedral-type spaces to out-of-this-world soundscapes. It's got onboard tone controls, modulation, and built-in infinite reverb capabilities. It became such a widely used effect that, eventually, we adapted it into a 10-parameter algorithm for our space and H9 pedals. We later released Blackhole as part of the H9 series plugins you can use in your favorite iOS or desktop DAWs. We're now introducing Blackhole as a dedicated stomp box with mono or stereo I/O, guitar or line level operation, MIDI capabilities, preset storing, and most importantly, a new compact, easy-to-use interface.
Pat, are you okay?
I'm okay. Are you okay, Christian?
I appear to be in one piece, so I guess so.
Good.
Thank God, the pedal made it too. Guys, we're back from the future, and we have this alien piece of technology, Eventide's latest and greatest, the Blackhole pedal.
Yeah, the Blackhole's been our signature sound for years, going back all the way to the DSP-4000. Now you can find it in the H9000, the H9, Space, as a plugin, and iOS.
So we basically refined it and put it into this easy-to-use, intuitive, compact form factor with 6 knobs for maximum tweakability and 5 onboard presets, which is pretty unheard of in a pedal this size.
Totally, man. I kind of want to hear those presets.
You guys ready? Should we listen to them?
You ready? Wow, man, those presets sounded great, and your playing was on point too.
Dude, thanks so much, man. I mean, what can I say? This thing is super inspiring. Just takes you to the next level.
Yeah, I love how it just gets out of the way if you're playing. It's like a noticeable lush reverb that sits behind you and lets the guitar just sit forward.
Yeah, Pat hit the nail on the head for sure. I think the first preset, aptly Blackhole, is a really prime example of that. It's a really good starting point to get your head and your hands around this thing, and it kind of shows how it preserves the articulation.
Yeah. And there's more than just 5 presets in this box. So there's 5 presets you can access within the box, but there's way more presets than that.
That's right, absolutely. So you can access 127 presets via MIDI or Eventide Device Manager.
Cool. I kind of want to hear some more of those presets.
Well, it's funny you should say that. You're in luck because I recorded some of those deeper presets actually using these 2 Mesa Fillmore amps in stereo with a KSR series preamp. And I went through the front of the amps for this example, but it sounds equally as inspiring if you put it in the effects loop. So yeah, let's take a listen. So Pat, what were your first impressions with the Blackhole paired with distortion?
I really love it. I'm a big fan of like pairing your distortion with a lot of reverb, kind of giving you that wall of sound post-rock vibe. Kind of calls back to Circus or Vibe, Harvard. It's perfect for that. It works perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got post-rock written all over it.
Oh yeah.
In that preset Redshift, we heard how modulation or subtle modulation kind of interplays with distortion and gives you this huge cacophonous sound that's just so fun for like tremolo picking and big chords, you know?
Just like a pad. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds awesome. Speaking of that, it actually will work well with synths too, since you can switch the input from guitar level to line level, which pretty much works with all synths.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that synth happens to have a stereo output, you can actually switch to stereo in the back and connect via a Y cable.
Yeah, so you get stereo inputs then from into the black hole.
Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. I kind of want to hear some synth examples if we got those.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's rope in Eventide's very own plug-in maven, Colin Bevan. Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, those are some really great synth examples for the black hole.
Absolutely. I really love how Colin was utilizing the expression pedal to control those presets.
Yeah, totally.
Another great feature of Black Hole is the fact that you can go into system settings and change the expression mode to utilize other controllers, such as expression plus aux, triple aux, and MIDI, as well as the expression pedal. And one of the most important relationships in Black Hole that's inherent to the architecture is that of the size and gravity knob. So why don't we go into this next video and take a deeper dive and explore that relationship.
The gravity knob is where things get really interesting. It's split into two decay modes. As we sweep forward through its positive range, we go from a short, dense decay to a very long and smooth decay. Sweeping through the negative gravity range will take a long, smooth reverse reverb and shorten the rise and decay times of its inverse tail. It's important to know that gravity has a symbiotic relationship with the size knob. Think of the size knob as controlling the size of your space, and when it's fully clockwise, it sounds as big as the universe. Now think of the gravity knob as the behavior of the reverb's decay within that space. For example, with gravity turned all the way up in the positive range, we see Black Hole's long and smooth reverb tail. By moving the size knob fully counterclockwise, we can go from a cosmically epic reverb to a cartoonishly small room instantaneously.
Thanks, Joe. Man, that video really showed off how versatile Black Hole can be. You can go from a small room reverb just by adjusting the size and the gravity all the way up to what Black Hole is really known for, its true essence, you know, like a big giant atmosphere, huge lush reverbs.
The essence!
The essence!
Absolutely. You can take it into the stratosphere and explore different galaxies.
Yeah.
And I think Joe was really further sculpting his tone by accessing the secondary parameters. And those are located up here on the page button, a little downward pointing triangle.
Right.
So a super important secondary parameter is the delay, which is located on the gravity knob. So why don't we check out this video to further explore that.
The key thing to remember about pre-delay on Blackhole is that lower gravity settings tend to smear the onset of the reverb. And higher gravity settings allow for distinct echoes, like being in a big canyon. The same goes for the negative gravity range. At a lower negative gravity, you smear the onset of the reverb. And at higher negative gravity, you get that gap.
Wow, that delay had a completely different dimension.
Totally, and I love the relationship between the delay, the size, and the gravity. I think even just with those three parameters, you can really custom tailor your own reverb to fit into whatever you want it to.
100%, and custom tailored artisanal reverb is where it's at.
Oh yeah, it's a must.
So let's take a look at one more knob that is crucial to Blackhole's inherent architecture, and that would be the feedback knob. And at the end of the feedback knob, the end of the rainbow, are two very unique reverb types, infinite and freeze. Let's take a look at this video to learn more.
Fully clockwise to freeze mode, the incoming signal is not fed into the reverb structure, allowing you to play atop the suspended tail without layering. The mix knob allows you to control the balance of the signal at the input with the suspended reverb. Both infinite reverb types will also be held in place even if Blackhole is bypassed.
Hey Pat, you know what?
What's up?
There's an arch villain from Batman that loves one of those reverb types.
I know that. Dr. Infinite, man, I love that villain.
Yeah. Okay.
So earlier you mentioned something about EDM, which is the Eventide Device Manager. It's the control app that you can use with Blackhole. Can you kind of walk us through that a little bit?
I can. Let's do it. Yo, what is up, guys? Come on, let me take you for a tour. Over here, this way. Okay, so we have connected the pedal via USB, and now we are accessing EDM. It's important to note that when you are connected to EDM, EDM takes precedence. So you are not going to be making changes on the pedal. You're going to be utilizing EDM. Okay, so right now we are in preset view. If I go to system settings, you'll see I have control over all the system settings. So you can change your expression pedal mode, bypass mode, kill dry, MIDI channel, MIDI clock, knob catch up. You can also perform a factory reset. You can back up the entire state of the pedal to file. You can restore the entire state of the pedal from a file. You can also check for updates or update from file. I'm going to click on check for updates real quick. And you should be running 1.0, which is the production release. So update to that if you're not currently running it. And you'll see that the serial number for the pedal is stated here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to presets right now, preset view. And you'll see this dialog box comes up, USB control mode. If you don't want to see that box again, you can simply click don't show again. I'm going to click OK for the process of this video. Okay, So we are currently on preset 1, Black Hole. You can see that your tap tempo BPM is up here. If I go down, I have a visual representation in EDM of all of the knobs, and I can see MIDI values if I want. I can also change to light mode. And here you'll see this blue halo around one of the knobs. That is an expression assignment. So I can simply change the starting point and ending point, and if I press save over here, that will save that preset. So I'm going to press cancel right now. Okay, moving right, you're going to have a list of all the presets. We're shipping with 28 presets. The rest of these presets are user presets over here, and you actually have access to 127 slots. So if I click on this disk icon, I can export the selected preset. I can also import it, or I can delete the preset. So let me just show you scrolling. So if I want to move a preset, I can simply click and scroll to the empty slot, and you will have your preset in the new slot. And I can also copy a preset by clicking either Control, Option, Command, or Shift, and I can copy that over to a new slot. So yeah, that's just a quick tour of EDM. Thanks so much for joining me. I think this is a really great piece of software that makes an already intuitive pedal even more intuitive, and it offers just expanded control and a really easy visual representation. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today at this first glimpse into Black Hole.
I'm so excited that we finally get to release this pedal out into the wild, and I can't wait to see it on all of your boards and hear what you guys come up with.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone's actually been firing off questions this whole live stream, so maybe we should go into the Q&A section.
Yeah, I invite you to all join our Zoom panel, and we'll hit some of those questions now.
Yeah, stick around.
See you there.
Thank you, Patrick, Christian, and Colin for that overview of our new pedal. And hello, everybody out there following along on YouTube and Facebook. My name is Joe Cozzi with Eventide. We're so excited to introduce to you the new Black Hole pedal, available right now from your favorite Eventide dealer. Online with me for some Q&A, I have Eventide engineers Russell Wetterlich, Joe Bamberg, and Tim Sternfeld. Gentlemen, if you would, please introduce yourselves. Russell?
Hi, I'm Russ. Let's see. I have a long history with Black Hole. I did the original, well, not the original pedal form in space. So I defined all these parameters that you see on this Black Hole and did all the signal processing to sort of make it a playable effect coming out of the rack units.
Awesome, Joe.
I'm Joe, software development.
Okay, Tim.
He does so much more than that.
Hey guys, I'm Tim. I did the hardware development for the .9s, or for the Black Hole pedal.
Great. So obviously, people that have been following along have had the opportunity to ask some questions, and we'll begin with the most obvious one: is this available on the H9?
Yes, it's been there the whole time.
It's been there the whole time, right? Can you maybe give us some insight? Are there any differences to expect from this pedal versus the algorithm on Space or H9?
Sorry. They're the same algorithm. Any differences would be, we can buy better parts now, right? than we used to back 10 years ago, I guess. I don't really know if that's the main difference. They sound pretty much the similar. We developed a machine learning algorithm and actually tested these things as we moved them to more modern processors. So, and the machine algorithm basically, it was like, yeah, they sound the same, and we've done extensive testing. So there's really, I'd say the differences are, you know what? If you can hear them, then send us a resume.
Christian's done a bunch of Christian's done a bunch of comparative listening, actually, right, Christian? And
Absolutely.
So how would you characterize the differences?
To me, this pedal is the most hi-fi of the bunch. I really noticed right off the bat that the just the frequency spectrum seemed to like just jump off the page. I think I instantly kind of noticed that, and it just super. I don't know what's the best way to describe this.
Presence?
Yeah, definitely more present, but it's clean. It's just so clean. Like, I guess in the H9, there's a certain mid-range in this algorithm that it's super pleasant, but in this one, it just is so alive that I think I said to you, Russ, I was just like, wow, this is the next step. Like, we refine this thing. It's where it needs to be, you know?
Awesome. So another question we have from the forum is, are the presets on the Blackhole pedal compatible with H9 and Space?
I guess I can answer this one. It does. I use the EDM software actually uses a different preset format to the H9 control preset format, so they're not directly compatible. But we're thinking of adding a facility for our user community to share their presets, which would enable it to, interchange with the different formats. So essentially, you could upload your H9 preset and have it, send you back a .9 a Blackhole preset and vice versa.
We have a question regarding MIDI. Is it MIDI compatible, and what are the different modes? Can somebody shed some light on that?
Yeah, I can. So we've got both USB MIDI through the USB jack, and we support a couple of different variations on TRS style MIDI, either with an adapter box or through a adapter cable. So yes.
All right, let's see. Does it have kill dry? Somebody already answered that. Yes, it does have kill dry. Can anybody shed some light as to why anybody would need kill dry?
Sure.
Go for it.
If you're running in a
Which are
amp loop, you want to be able to kill that dry signal and maintain your dry signal using the loop. Otherwise, you could get some nasty comb filtering. Unless you like nasty comb filtering, your choice.
Yeah, same thing. If you're using the reverb on an auxiliary send of like just a live sound mixer, you want to make sure that the kill dry is engaged so that you're just mixing it with the send versus handling gain structures on two different knobs, right? So that's why kill dry is important in that case. Let's see what we got here. So regarding the balance, somebody asked a question. Let me see if I can find it here. Stereo in. Somebody just simply asked, does it blend? So Russell, can you tell us a little bit about how that works on the pedal?
Yeah, there's a wet-dry blend. I think in the breakout room, our assumption was this question was asking, is it an analog blend? And the answer is no, mainly because we felt like it was important to get a small enough pre-delay as possible. So if you had a straight-up dry analog path, you're always going to have some amount of pre-delay just because it's a digital algorithm. So. And this also kind of hints at preset compatibility. If we get there, once you do that, your presets are no longer ever compatible with H9 Space. So we decided on this pedal to keep it true to its sort of origins.
Somebody asked a question. This already exists on Space and H9. Why give Blackhole its own dedicated pedal? And I kind of feel like I can feel this one. We've always felt that there was a certain portion of the market that didn't really want to make the investment into a $500 plus pedal, right? Be it Space or H9 Max, etc. So we wanted to kind of make something in a much easier to that has a much easier to use interface, that is very, like, how do you say, hands-on,
Tangible.
right?
Yeah.
Tangible. There's another word that escapes me right now.
Tactile.
But,
tactile knobs.
tactile is the exact word I was looking for, right? People want to feel the changes as they're turning knobs, etc., or hear the changes rather. And so we feel that Blackhole was the perfect algorithm for this. Now, as some of you may have noticed from Christian and Patrick's overview, you do have 6 knobs on the pedal, but 5 of the knobs have a secondary parameter, right? So for example, on gravity, you have delay, which is really pre-delay, right? On feedback, you have Q, otherwise known as resonance. On the size knob, you have modulation depth. On the low EQ knob, you have modulation rate. And on the high EQ knob, you have output level, right? So by pressing the page button on the top right of the pedal, you can go from one set of controls to the other. So you still maintain the performance-rich features of the algorithm, but in a much easier to digest front panel, right? Can anybody perhaps shed some light on like the decisions that were made in terms of usability in that sense between primary and secondary parameters?
Yeah, I mean, it's primarily a reverb. We went through a lot of iterations on and a lot of testing on what parameters to put underneath and what to put on top. But I mean, fundamentally, when you're shaping like a reverb, you want all those big reverb parameters on the top level. And then when it comes to it being more of like an effect or a sound effect thing, which it's really good at, but that's where you get into like adding resonance to the filters and adding crazy modulation and stuff like that. So we put those on the second level because we figured the majority of use cases were verb cases. So those are the things. And those are things in a live situation. If the room changes and you realize you need to change a reverb, your preset doesn't work in this gig. Hopefully we all get back to live situations again one day. I'll throw that out there.
Real.
But the thing you need to reach down and change is a feedback or a size or a mix or something immediately, right? So those need to be immediately accessible.
Question from YouTube. Is EDM or Eventide Device Manager, is it the same software as on the Rose?
Yeah, it will work for both Roses and.
Yeah, and if it,
yeah, it's case specific to, I mean, you're going to have a slightly different, obviously, layout depending on what pedal is connected to EDM. But yes, it will work for both Rose. The same EDM will work for both Rose and Blackhole.
And another question from YouTube. Is it the same algorithms on the plugin?
I can answer that one. The plugin has some extended ranges that we felt made more sense in a production environment. So if you look at the plugins, I think it's just the size knob, really. If you look at the size knob, it goes into like a negative range and like up to 110 or 120. That negative range gets you these weird like micro verbs, micro black holes kind of sounds, like really weird comey stuff that definitely makes more sense in a larger production environment. So it's almost the same, but like that plugin is still its own special beast a bit.
Another question from YouTube. Is it aimed at live performance, studio sessions, or both? How do you interpret Blackhole pedal?
I'm going to defer to.
I mean, to me, it's a live beast because it's so easy to use, and as we said before, with the tactile knobs, it's just so easy to tweak and get a good sound right out of the box. There's not a huge learning curve. Like, I mean, I know just from working trade shows, if I'm sitting there demoing an H9, if someone is not familiar with Eventide and they come up and look at that pedal, they're like, how am I supposed to use this? They're used to pedals with tactile knobs. So we kind of give that type of user this experience, and it's just very easy to digest. And like I said, you can get a good sound right out of the box, but obviously you can use this thing in the studio as well. I mean, we did to create the song. So it's good in both applications. To me, I would put it on my board and use it live for sure.
Yeah, and with other features like knob catch-up, you never have to worry about fudging with your settings as you move from your primary set of controls to your secondary set of controls, right? So that feature is designed to kind of have the live musician in mind. But then you have features like MIDI. So yes, that can be used live as well, whether you're running a sequence of tracks and you want that to change your presets, or you want to use your MIDI foot controller to change your presets. The EXP input in the back not only can be set to an expression pedal or a triple auxiliary switch or an expression pedal and a tap tempo switch, but as Tim pointed out earlier, you have two different types of MIDI that you can use depending on what cables you have at your disposal. So that functions live and for studio use, right? Not only that, can anybody kind of give us some insight into what the switches are all about on the back panel of the Blackhole?
Yeah, I got that one. So we have two switches on the back panel. One is to switch the input jack from mono to stereo, so you can run as if you want a stereo input from whatever source you have or from your board, you can run a TRS cable in and get a second channel on the ring. The other switch switches you from guitar to line level, so you can optimize your gain staging for whatever your setting is, or for whatever your setup is.
Not to mention you have features like kill dry, right? So
right.
You can use this as an external effects processor. And if you were to connect this to your audio interface, Tim, what setting do you recommend to use on the back?
The line level would, set your levels right. For the stereo, it really depends on how you want to be running it, right? If you want to run just a mono signal in and get a stereo output, you can just set that to mono mode. Otherwise, if you want to do a full stereo effect, you can set it to stereo.
Now, I see three inputs here. Well, three connections rather. One says in, two of them say out 1 and 2, and then you have the EXP input we just addressed. So is this a mono or a stereo pedal?
It's a full stereo pedal. We just basically only have space for 4 on the back. So we combine two of them.
How do you connect to that input there?
You can use a TRS cable or a Y cable to split 2 channels into one, or combine 2 channels onto 1 cable.
Excellent. So next question we have here, let's see. What is the internal audio resolution?
It is a 24-bit signal that we convert and use entirely floating point math into 32-bit floating point math internally.
Nice. Another question from YouTube. Is the delay parameter new on the pedal? I don't see it on the plugin or H9.
I think it's probably called pre-delay.
Pre-delay, yeah, it's pre-delay. It's pre-delay.
I think in an effort to kind of make the front panel a little simpler, we chose the shorthand for a lot of the same parameter names. So for example, instead of resonance, we chose Q, which, an engineer knows that the Q control on like a console, will adjust the resonance of that particular frequency, etc. Instead of pre-delay, we just chose delay, because in essence, what the delay is really doing is just delaying the onset of the reverb, right?
Which is interesting because I say you could kind of use it as a delay pedal too if the size is really, really short and you use the feedback control. You get into some delay territory.
Awesome. Let's see here. Another question. How does the usability compare with space?
Well, you have to page it's sort of it's a trade-off, right? So always with engineering and products, we're always making trade-offs and seeing what sticks against the wall. So this is our attempt. Space is bigger and heavier. You do get access to all the parameters, and you have a screen to tell you exactly the value is. But there is some, you have a screen, and maybe there's temptation to listen with your eyes. And this is an interesting reduction on that, because we've shrank the size. It's lighter. You could fit it on a board, smaller board. And in some sense, it's like you're turning it till it sounds good to you. So I think the experience is slightly different.
Here's a little size comparison for everybody.
It's a little smaller than an H9, right? And then an H9 is a deep dive, right? Obviously, that's
Right.
The knobs are labeled as well.
The
Right.
knobs are labeled. You know exactly what you. That's true. And on the Space, because the Space has 12 reverb algorithms, the screen printing on a Space doesn't tell you for those X and Y knobs exactly what
Right.
they
Here's
do.
a space for comparison.
Yeah. So you see that X and Y knob. Also, like had to use a little more like words like contour, right? That also an ambiguous word because it means different stuff per algorithm. So.
Right, and the trend, don't you think the trend also in a bunch of gear, including amps as well, has been to downsize? I mean, you don't want to pay freight charges. You want to get stuff in like an overhead bin if you're traveling with it. We wanted to make something that was compact, you know?
Yeah, obviously.
We
My back
basically
isn't
made,
getting any younger.
Yeah,
This stuff.
exactly.
we basically made this as small as we could fit the knobs on,
Mhm.
in the hopes that people are minimizing, they're carrying as little as they can, and we want to help with that.
We also wanted to do something simpler.
Yeah.
As in, like, we.
Space
One
can
of
be
our-
space can be
Space can be
intimidating, and we
intimidating.
wanted to make something that was a lot more immediately
Yeah.
accessible.
It's a lot
Right.
more approachable.
And approachable from a financial standpoint as well. I mean,
That's
you have a gateway to Eventide for less than $300. I mean, and you're getting a pedal at the, don't be kind of thwarted by the fact that it's just one algorithm. I mean, this pedal is incredibly versatile. You have delay, modulation, obviously the reverb. You can do a ton of different stuff with just this one pedal, truly.
So we have, let's see, why a mini USB input?
Space.
Yep, space. It's more rugged than the micro USB, and USB-C is not everyone has those cables quite yet. So
Right, but why would I need?
why have it?
Yeah.
We support software updates. You can also do remote control through EDM, and we think that that's a really nice feature to have.
Yes, and MIDI.
Yeah.
Correct. There is MIDI over USB. So one of my favorite capabilities is if you have a MIDI controller, say like a Disaster Area Designs DPC 5 or some of the newer ones, which have MIDI host capabilities, you can plug straight into that and control it via MIDI so that you can have your EXP function in another regard. So an expression pedal or a 3-button auxiliary switch, right? Or you could connect your tablet or your iPad directly to the USB port and control it with some MIDI controlling app. And I demonstrate this right now. If you go to Eventide's YouTube channel, there are 2 tutorials that cover the Blackhole in its entirety. And I share with you some of my favorite uses of the mini USB port. Let's continue on here. Any chance of a Eurorack version of the Blackhole?
Just we can neither confirm nor deny this type of thing.
That's a great question.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's the elephant in the room.
Well, as somebody who, like Christian, travels a lot on the road, and we get asked that often.
Oh yeah.
And all we can really say is noted, right?
It's a very popular algorithm in the synth community, and we're well aware of that. But yes, neither confirm nor deny.
So one question from Facebook. Any algorithm candidates for future single pedals?
Oh boy.
Are you willing to share any future?
Can we confirm or deny this one?
That's a really
We should
Okay,
definitely.
yeah.
We should come out and. Anyone?
We shouldn't say which algorithms.
No.
There-
But we should say that this
there
is
will
the
be
first,
more of these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
first in the series for a family. So there we go. Mine exploded.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, you can't just do this kind of thing once.
No.
Of course. But as Patrick and Christian stated, we started with this one because you actually hear Blackhole on countless records, and more interestingly, in movies, blockbuster hits like what's that? Prometheus, for example. You hear it on Blade Runner 2049 and so many other movies. Remember, this algorithm has been around since the DSP 4000, which was released back in, I don't know the date, 1990.
Late 90s sometime, right?
Late
97?
Right.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
Obviously, the original algorithm you can still find in our current flagship studio processor, the H9000 harmonizer, and H9000R rack mount unit. But it went through.
Don't you think it's slightly ironic that in Prometheus, the black hole is played when the engineers appear? I mean,
that's pretty,
guys,
that's pretty badass.
that's cosmic.
So again, you can kind of now experiment with one of the industry's most iconic effects in a pedal format that's easy to use. Let me see if we have any more questions so far. Doesn't appear so. So I'd like to once again thank everybody. We're super excited about this launch. Thank you to Tim, Joe, Russell, Christian, Patrick, Colin,
and you.
Your wonderful presentation today.
Thanks, Joe.
Once again, I invite you guys, if you want to learn a little bit more or check out that, once again, that cool video that you saw at the beginning of this broadcast, you can go visit Eventide Audio's YouTube channel for tutorials, preset sound examples, and we expect to release more media in the days to come. So thank you. We're signing off now, and we invite you to check out more about Blackhole on eventideaudio.com. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.